Okay, so just we'll recap what we completed so far as a part of system. Okay, so the system what we just gone through is we have seen how to enable the offerings. One second. Okay, we enabled offering, right? We enabled offerings and options, or else let me write as the process wise what we have to follow, what we did, we'll discuss. Okay, first we have to enable the offerings and options, yes, that we completed. Later we just gone through the manage geographies. So we just which offerings and options we are going to implement for the client, accordingly we have to enable so that those will be available. And later I think just we created project, right? Let's take the same point. So the next step we have to create implementation project. So the project are within the project offerings and options we can assign to the team members, and we can set the status based on the progress of work which we do as a part of project. When you talk about project here, just to manage the configuration part, nothing else. So it's not related to cost or billing, etc., which we see in the Oracle project solution. Okay, just this is implementation project to manage your system setup. That's all. Okay, you can manage what are the how many setups you have to perform, how many completed, and what is the progress. That's all. There's no other usage of this project. And other few points we discussed about. Manage geographies. So here what we discussed, for which countries we are going to do the implementation, you have to populate that country specific data through Nokia source. Okay, import Nokia. So by using that option we can import it so that the data would get populated. The same you can use for all the addresses or tax related calculations. So after completing this manage geographies, so we have seen how to create accounting calendar, and in the yesterday session we created chart of accounts. So the part of chart of accounts, there are multiple tasks which need to be performed, right? So these are the different tasks which we performed: value set creation, structure creation, and assigning the value sets to segments as a part of segment definition, labels assignments to segments. Segment labels are nothing but flex field qualifiers. And we created chart of account structure instance against the chart of account structure. In Fusion you could see as instance as a new concept, which we don't see in EBS. So within instance only you can use as a part of primary ledger to record the transactions. So here in Fusion, chart of account structure acts as a template, and after completing that we deployed. It's all about submitting chart of account structure for validation. After submitting for validation, nothing but deployment only, we have to create the segment values, otherwise you don't find the segment labels for the segments values which you create. Finally we created segment values and we associated with respect to segment qualifiers. As per EBS segment qualifiers, in Fusion the same we are calling as value attributes. So these are the key activities we performed within the instance. In today's session, so we'll go and create the primary ledger. So along with this accounting calendar and chart of accounts, we discussed about currency, right? So manage currencies. So we discussed currency related points as, so we no need to enable any currency. By default, all currencies are enabled in fresh instance also. So if you want to disable, you can disable which currencies you don't require for your client business process, but we no need to enable. So now we'll see how to create the primary ledger. So create primary ledger. Okay, by selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method, which is a seeded predefined. So okay, that we can select and we can do it. Later we'll just go through that accounting method also. We'll just open and we'll go through that information, but basically the seeded one what Oracle provides, we can use it. So we'll create the primary ledger. After creating the primary ledger, we'll go and create the legal entity. Okay, we have to create legal entity. So in EBS, when you create the legal entity, so we'll provide the legal entity identification information, legal address, and additional details. Everything you can create in the same page. But in the Fusion, if you want to create the legal entity, first you have to create the legal address. After creating the legal address, you can create the legal entity by selecting the same address. For that reason, we have to create legal address first. Okay, create legal address, and then we'll create the legal entity. Okay, after creating the legal entity we have to assign to our primary ledger. And here one more point to discuss. So we'll create the primary ledger. As a part of primary ledger, as a mandatory, we have to provide the account called as retained earnings account, right? Retained earnings account, which is a net income. So revenue minus expense, the variance goes to retained earnings account. So that account as a mandatory we have to set up in the primary ledger. When you do the primary ledger definition in the EBS, we'll go to the accounting options. There we can set up. That means when you are within the primary ledger definition, you can navigate and do it. But here, the retained earnings account specification, we have to do as a separate task that we call as specify ledger options. Specify ledger options. So first we'll create the primary ledger, then we have to specify the ledger options. Through ledger options, primarily we'll be setting the retained earnings account. Apart from that, we have many other, but those all we'll see when we are working on GL. As of now, just as a part of primary ledger definition, that is a mandatory setup which you have to complete to use the primary ledger, right? So we'll go and specify the ledger options. Nothing but we'll provide the retained earnings account. Then we'll create the legal address. By using the legal address, we'll create the legal entity. After creating the legal entity, one or multiple depending on the requirement, we have to assign, right? We have to assign legal entity to primary ledger, right? So we have to assign the legal entity to primary ledger. Within the primary ledger, what are the balancing segment values we have? Nothing but company values. For which segment we are assigning primary balancing segment label, that segment values we can call as balancing segment values. Those balancing segment values we have to assign to legal entity. The balancing segment values we can have within the primary ledger through chart of accounts, and those you can assign to legal entity. Say assign balancing segment values, BSV values, to legal entity. Okay, the same setups we do in EBS also. Same sequence, same process we follow. After that, after completing this, in EBS, basically you'll see in the ledger definition itself on tab called as complete. Once you click on complete, the ledger status will be marked as a completed. Once ledger status you see as a completed, you can start using that ledger. Okay, similar to that, here we have an activity called as completion only. Okay, that we call as review and submit accounting configuration. It's nothing but submitting our ledger for completion purpose. We have to mark the ledger status to complete or confirm. And when you just perform this task, what system will do, we'll discuss detail level once we reach that step. So whenever you submit it, system will be submitting our primary ledger data from Oracle database to Essbase database. What exactly, which information it will submit and why, those points we'll be discussing. Okay, we'll just proceed from here. Okay, so just we completed all these setups. We're done with the enabling, and we created implementation project, and we discussed relevant information, and we just gone through the help portal also, how we have help availability in the application, and just we gone through the manage geographies related information, and we created our accounting calendar, which is automated process, and we just gone through the currencies related information, and we created chart of accounts. Now we'll go and create the primary ledger. Okay, we'll go and create the primary ledger. So to create the primary ledger, go to implementation project, setup and maintenance. So go to manage implementation projects. To find out our project which is assigned to current user, you can click on overview. Just open our project. So what we'll do is we are doing all the setups, the calendar we created and chart of accounts we created by using the name called as Google, right? So better we'll change our project name also to Google. So when we created, we given the name as ERP tree. Okay, we created calendar chart of accounts by using the name called as Google. We can update the project name to Google. Just click on edit and here you can change the name. And code you cannot change, just you can change. So say save and close. Done. Fine. Now we have to create the primary ledger. Okay, search for the task called as manage primary ledgers. Or it's not required to include the term called as manage. Every task starts with a manage. Most of the tasks, 99% of tasks starts with manage only. Directly you can search with the term called as primary ledger. In that case, how many tasks includes this primary ledger terms? All tasks will list out. To filter, okay, so you may just go with the manage primary ledger so that only the task would get displayed. Just click on search for manage primary ledgers. The manage primary ledger task is available from these two offerings, procurement and financials. There are the two different navigation paths which are available from the different offerings. Since we are working on financials, just always prefer to choose any task which is available from financials. Okay, just click on manage primary ledgers. Click on manage primary ledgers, and again is the task we have go to task icon, right? Just click on go to task icon. Here we can see all the ledgers which are available in this instance, and you could see the status of ledgers also confirmed, nothing but completed. Okay, and one more point, when you create the chart of accounts, when you create the ledger name, don't include any special characters. Okay, if you just go with the special characters, the validations will fail. Don't use any special characters for our chart of accounts creation or primary ledger definition. Okay, these all are, since this is a vision instance. Okay, so these are the ledgers which you could see. Okay, now we'll see how to create our own primary ledger. So to create the new primary ledger, click on create icon. Just click on create, and here you can provide the name. The name we can give as Google USA primary ledger. Provide the description as optional, and select our chart of accounts. Here the label name, the field name you can see as chart of accounts, but reality we can select only chart of account structure instance. You cannot find chart of account which you created, only you can find instance. So here we given the name as Google, right? So here Google accounting flex field instance, right? Select it. And accounting calendar we created as a Google accounting calendar. Select our accounting calendar, and ledger currency, nothing but functional currency, select as USD. And accounting method, we know like when you are, if you want to just record the transaction within the GL, accounting method is not mandatory. If you want to create the transactions in subledger applications, those transactions should follow certain rules to generate accounting entries. All we have as a part of accounting method, so that you can select. So standard approval, which will have all the rules for all the application based on the events which you perform in the respective applications. Later we'll go through this, we'll open and we'll go through this information also, how that is. Okay, how that is different from EBS, almost same. but just we'll go through it. Okay, for now, just as for the definition, you can select it. Say save and close. So we created primary ledger. Okay, we created primary ledger. If you want to verify the status of our primary ledger, again go to the same task. So here search for our primary ledger. The first field, first row is its search fields. You can search with the primary ledger name or with primary ledger description or with chart of accounts. You can search accounting calendar. You want to know with a Google chart of accounts how many ledgers we have. Just enter Google term here and use enter from keyboard. It will filter all the ledgers which are available with this Google chart of accounts, or with the specific calendar, or with the USD currency how many ledgers you have. You want to know, that's how you can filter. Okay, it's all any field you can use for search. Okay, so now you could see the status of our primary ledger is in process. Okay, we have to just provide the retained earnings account, we have to associate legal entities, we have to complete the required setups. Later we can convert the status to completed or confirmed. Fine, we created primary ledger. Now the next task is we have to specify the ledger options. As a part of ledger options, what we can do is we can go and provide the retained earnings account. Okay, we'll go and provide the retained earnings account. Okay, for our testing purpose, to understand how to create the segment values, we created only one account in our account value set. So that is retained earnings account, right? The same account we can use. Going forward, what we'll do is we will override our value set at instance level. Instead of using our value set, we will use corporate account value set, which is predefined within the Vision instance. Okay, otherwise we have to create all the accounts. For our understanding anyway, we have seen how to create the value set and how to create the segment values within the value set. For now, just we can use the same account to specify the retained earnings account. Later we'll be changing the value set at instance level, not at structure level. We'll see that anyway. For now, we'll go and specify the ledger options. So here the task name also specify ledger options. Okay, manage primary ledgers. After that we have a task called as specify ledger options. So I want to specify the ledger options. If I want to specify the ledger options, system will ask us we want to set up the ledger options for which ledger. Okay, say here I'll try for this task from FSM homepage directly. We cannot complete. Just for our understanding, why we have to complete certain setups only from the project. To understand that point, we'll just go through this. So once you log into the instance, we have to click on setup and maintenance, and you can just go to task list, and here you can click on search. From here you can search for any task. All the tasks will be available from here. You can just search for manage primary ledger. The task will be available from here. Also you can create the primary ledger. Primary ledger you can create from here, but if you want to specify the ledger options, that is possible only from the project. Say specify ledger options. So if you try to specify the ledger options here, there is no scope for system to ask us for which ledger we want to set retained earnings account. See here, if you click on specify ledger options, it will take us to any one of the ledger. For which ledger recently ledger options are defined. It is taking us to Turkey primary ledger. That means recently within this instance for Turkey primary ledger only retained earnings account is specified. Okay, so that's how it will navigate. Now if you want to go to your ledger, how? There is no option. You try once again, it will take us to this Turkey primary ledger only. But if you are trying to do this task from the project, within the project, system will ask us to select for which primary ledger you want to set the ledger options. Okay, that's how system will navigate us. Okay, so go to implementation project. Just click on overview to see the project which is associated with the current user. You can just click on the project, search for the task called as specify ledger options. Search for specify ledger options. Okay, here notice we have a three tasks. One task is available from same task is available from procurement, and the same task is available from financials only. When you look at these financials, the one task specify ledger options related to primary ledger, the other task same is available from financials only to specify the ledger options for secondary ledger. Notice this point. Now we are not working on secondary ledger, we are working on primary ledger, so you should click on specify ledger options against this path only. If you select it, that means you are going to set up ledger options for secondary ledger. We didn't create any secondary ledger, we'll be working on it when we start working on GL related concepts. Okay, so you have to click on this task, click on specify ledger options. Now here you can click on go to task icon. So here if you notice, next to go to task icon, we have another column called as selected scope. As of now, no scope is selected. Here scope is nothing but you want to specify the ledger options for which ledger. That ledger you have to select, then system will take you to that ledger related ledger options only to specify the retained earnings account. So this is not possible if you do directly from FSM home page. Just now we tried, it is taking us to Turkey primary ledger. It can take us to any primary ledger for which primary ledger recently ledger options are completed within this instance. So to set ledger options for our ledger, from here only you can do it. Okay, against specify ledger options, click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. See, now system is asking for which primary ledger you want to set the ledger options. Why it is asking? We are in the project. If you are in the project, this is a advantage which we can, where we can select the relevant objects to complete the setups. If you are trying to do this setup from outside of the project, so it won't ask us to select. When system is not asking us to select some specific definition, we cannot complete the relevant setup also. Okay, so system is asking us to select primary ledger. So select our primary ledger. You can select value as a select and add, then click on apply and go to task. Now system will list out all the ledgers. We have to select our ledger, then system will take us to that ledger related ledger options to specify the return earnings account. So now here we have all the ledgers. Find our ledger, use enter from keyboard, it will filter. Now just our ledger, only one ledger we have, since one ledger system will select by default. Click on save and close. Now system will take us to this ledger related ledger options so that we can select the return earnings account. Click on save and close. So now we are in our ledger, Google USA primary ledger. So select journal language. In case of EBS also we have this journal language selection as a part of ledger options, but system defaults in case of EBS, but here we have to select. So here is the return earnings account, which is a mandatory. Select return earnings account to complete the basic ledger option setup. So select company, select department. You can select any company, any department, but account should be returned earnings only. We created anyway only one account, right? That you can select. Just say okay. Okay, now just so enough. The rest of all options and all will go through when we are working on relevant concepts, when we are in GL uh, part. Okay, for now just this information would be enough. Then say save and close. Done. Now see what system is doing. For which ledger we specified ledger options, that ledger only it is selecting as a scope for all the ledger related tasks. Next time if you want to go to ledger options, already our ledger is selected in the scope, right? So anytime if you want to go to ledger options, just one click on go to task, it will take us to that ledger related ledger options. First time only we have to select. Done. Now take the example, you have a two ledgers. Okay, two ledgers. You want to set the ledger options for two ledgers. First we set the ledger options for say Google USA primary ledger. You have another ledger called Google India primary ledger. So now you want to set up the ledger options for Google India primary ledger. How to set up? If you click on go to task, it will take us to whatever the ledger is selected in the scope, your selected scope. It will take us to US primary ledger only. If you want to navigate to India primary ledger to set this retained earnings account or any other options, what to do? If you want to go to other ledger, if you want to set any setup for other ledger, what you have to do is you have to click on the scope name. So specify ledger options. We want to set ledger options for which ledger? Other ledger. So in that case, just click on the name. In selected scope column, what are the value you could see, just you directly click on that. Don't click on go to task icon, click on this value. Here it will ask us to select which ledger you want to choose. You may select other ledger. Say for example you want to set ledger options for ABC ledger. You can select ABC ledger and say save and close. Now it will take us to ABC ledger related ledger options. For this ledger already returned earnings account, everything is specified. So this is how you can go to specific ledger. Now system updated the same ledger in our project as a selected scope for all the tasks which are specific to ledger. Okay, now anyway, this is not our ledger. We'll select our ledger. Click on the ledger name, select our ledger, say apply and go to task. This is how we can switch from one ledger to another ledger to complete the relevant configuration. So any questions here to understand this point, please?
Yeah, hi, it's Snehashi here. I have a question.
Please.
When you are specifying ledger options, if I want to define suspense account or any other ledger options, how to define those accounts there?
Same process. So go to your ledger options. Within the ledger options only, you can provide the suspense account and all, right? So in this case,
Can you please
all are
please
not
listen?
mandatory. That is the reason we are not touching. When we are working on GL, we can do it. Here we have a suspense account.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So whatever you have in EBS, the same as it is you have here, the framework, the presentation is different. That's all. Okay. This is the place. Fine. So done. We created ledger and we specified the ledger options. Okay. So if you want to set the ledger options, you have to do from the project only. Okay. You have to do from the project. See, navigation is available from here only. See, one thing we tried from FSM homepage, right? One second, we'll go through one second. So we are just going to this task list. Just you can click on search. From here you can search for any task. Okay. Specify ledger options. So from here we cannot set up, right? It will take us to different ledger, any one of the random ledger, and from project we are able to do. And again navigation is available from here also. See here. So what is the third place where we can find the navigations? One place is project, the other place is FSM direct home page, which you could see through search option. The other option is when you click on user and when you click on setup and maintenance, we are landing in this page, right? We are landing in this page only. By default, system selected one of the offering as a compensation management. Now you can switch from compensation management to any one of the offering. Say select financials. Okay, select financials. So within these financials, you can search for the task. Specify ledger options we have. We selected financials, and here I am searching for task called as specify ledger options. Click on specify ledger options. So here we have a specify ledger options. So here we have a scope. Just I am clicking on specify ledger options. Now here system is asking us to select the ledger. That means you can set up ledger options from here also, but we don't use this option from here to do the setups. We always create the project. Again, if I want to do some setups and all, again I have to switch from financials to, say if I'm implementing procurement, I have to switch to procurement. So this is a big task. Again you have to search for here, it will list out, you have to select, again that list will come here, you have to click on that. So it's a very big task. That is the reason generally we don't use setups, we don't do setups from this page. We always do the setups from the project only. If some setup is not project specific, directly you can do from here, which doesn't require any scope selection. Okay, from here you can do the setups wherever scope concept is not applicable. Otherwise, generally we do setups from project only. We do setups from project only. Okay, so, so from here only we'll be doing the setups. So other option is available from here also, but it is something like it will become big task all the time, selecting and navigating. So it's filtering and clicking on that. So all it will become big task for us. So we don't use this page to do the setups. Even there is a possibility, we always do from the project only. Any questions, please? Fine, no questions. So we specified ledger options for our ledger. Right, done. Okay, as a part of ledger options, we given only return earnings account. Okay, fine. Now we'll go and create the legal address. Okay, so at the time of legal entity creation, you cannot create the address. In case of EBS, you can do it. In case of EBS, at the time of legal entity creation, you can create the legal address also, or else you can select whatever the address is already predefined. But here, only the option is you can select which is already defined, and you cannot create new address as a part of legal entity creation. That is the reason we have to go and create the legal address first, then we have to create the legal entity. Okay, we'll go and create the legal address. Okay, so let's do everything from our project only. Go to our implementation project, click on overview, so it will take us to our project. Open this project, search for the task called as legal addresses. So there will be task called as manage legal addresses. Okay, manage legal addresses. You can click on the task. So manage legal addresses task is mandatory, because when you create the legal entity, it's a mandatory. As a mandatory, you have to select. Without address, you cannot create legal entity. Right? When you talk about legal address, it's all about the registration address. When you are running the company or entity, that has to be registered. So this would be generally the physical office address with which address you register your company. It could be your head office or corporate office address. Totally depends. Okay, just click on go to task icon, and here click on create. So the most of the functions whatever we define, so by default Oracle is providing the search. Existing addresses you can search with a country or address line or city, state, etc. Okay, anyway we are going to create the new address. Click on create. Click on create. We are going to create the address for country United States only. Why United States are getting defaulted? So same as EBS, in Fusion also we have a profile option to set default country. Okay, in EBS we have a default country profile option. The same way in Fusion also we can set it up. Okay, we'll go and see, like maybe after 2 to 3 sessions we'll see how to from where we can set the profile options, how to set the profile options in Fusion. We'll go through that points, so at that time we can understand. But just for information, the country is defaulting here, the region profile option. Okay, here you can provide the location information. So simply we can give the name as Google address, and city, state, postal code, county. These are all the information we have as a part of manage geographies. Just select postal code, system will default city, state and county information. Okay, so click on search. So search for any one of the postal code, select, then system will default the postal code comes under which city, and that is under which county and state. Then say okay. This is how just you can create the legal address which can be used for legal entity creation. We created, the name is Google address, the location name is Google address. You say save and close. So this is how simply you can create the legal address. Now we can go and create the legal entity, right? So when you talk about legal entity, it's all about company registration information. How many registrations we have, those many legal entities we have to create. For each country, minimum one legal entity, and depending on the registration in one country, you may have a multiple registrations because you are running the multiple businesses or other several reasons, right? It's all about how many registrations we have, those many legal entities we have to create. How many entities we have as a registration with a different registration, those many legal entities we have to create. Done. Now we'll go and create the legal entity. Okay, so go to our implementation project, search for the task called as legal entities. Say manage, or you can ignore manage, say legal entity. Okay, so here is the task called as manage legal entity. Manage legal entity, name they given as a legal entity, not legal entities. Notice that. So now searching, search for manage legal entity. If you want to search, just click on the task and manage legal entities. Just click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. Now system is asking for the legal entity field. Why it is asking? So now system doesn't know whether we want to create the legal entity or we want to edit the existing legal entity. That is the reason system is asking. Now what we want to do, we want to create the new legal entity only, right? So go to this elbow V option and say create new. If you say select and add, system will display all existing legal entities. Those you can modify if you want to modify. But now we are going to create the legal entity. So you have to select the value as a create new. Then click on apply and go to task. This will allow us to create the new legal entity. Okay. Task name is manage legal entity. Just click on go to task icon and select legal entity action as a create new. Just click on apply and go to tasks. Okay, here you could see all the legal entities which are already created in this environment, and now you can click on create. Fine. So for this entire instance, the country United States is set to default country, so it's defaulting. For which country you are creating legal entity, we have to select that country, and you can provide the name, legal entity name, to identify in the system environment. The legal entity name is say Google USA legal entity, and legal entity identifier. Okay, so legal entity identifier, you can give some number. So identification number, company registration identification number you can just provide, and here you can specify the legal address. Just now we created legal address, that address you can select. So name we given as Google address, right? This is the name. Select it. Done. And here we have a payroll statutory unit and a legal employer. If you want to use this legal entity in the process of finance related setups and the transaction process, you should enable these two checkboxes. What is the meaning of payroll statutory unit? That means with this registration, if you are running the payroll and if you want to do the tax reporting for the payroll process with this legal entity, you have to enable it. If you want to see that what is the meaning of this, you can just place the cursor on this question mark help icon. It gives the information. Legal entity, okay, registered to report payroll tax and social insurance. Okay, so you are registering the company. You have a company. When you have a company, definitely you'll have employees. For that, employees will be running the payrolls. So under this legal registration, if you have a like employees and if you are running the payrolls for those employees, you should enable it. Enable this as a payroll statutory unit. That means with this registration, you will be running the payrolls and will be reporting that payroll related tax to the government. And if it is going to be the legal employer is nothing but identifying this as a legal entity. Just place cursor here. So the here what is the meaning of the legal employer? So, see here, you basically we are creating the legal entity. The legal entity will be represented as a legal employer going forward in the different setups. Okay, the legal entity and the legal employer both are same. That's what we have to understand. So here, what is the meaning of legal employer? It's all about legal entity that employs people. Okay, the with the legalization. So we'll just take the employees and we'll be just managing the employees under this registration with the title of this company will be taking the resource into organization. So just make sure that you are enabling these two check boxes. Otherwise, to use this legal entity related to finance related configuration or the same legal entity will be used in HCM also. So in that process, we'll come across with the issues. Okay, even you see these two check boxes are optional. Enable as a mandatory. Okay, enable as a mandatory. Then only this legal entity can be used wherever the legal entity definition is required. You can just see and understand the purpose of these check boxes also. Yes, this is a real legal entity. When you say legal employer, it the legal entity it employs the people means yes, it will with under this registration will be doing the business, and definitely we require resource. We have to take the resource. It's all about
So
employee.
actually, one question here.
Please.
If a business doesn't have any employee, so I'm just running a business and having a directly yes. Still, do you think that we need to check that legal
So
employer?
such kind of big companies, there won't be any.
No, I'm not talking about with big
Usage,
companies.
right?
I'm talking about normal company. Like
Yeah,
if
normal.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I got your point. I got your point here. When some company is going to use this ERP applications, okay, they have to do all those things. If there is some company who doesn't take employees and who doesn't run payrolls and all, definitely the such kind of companies cannot go with this, and there's no point of understanding this. Not required. Okay, if you are creating some dummy legal entity, yes, you can ignore this. But dummy also in the setup process you have to use it. Why you are creating dummy one? There should be some scenario. There you have to use it. If you want to use this legal entity definition in the setup process, still you have to enable it. Okay. Just as a additional legal entity definition as a dummy definition, if you require, just you may create without enabling this. This cannot be used in any process. That's all.
If a
What?
payroll is in ADP,
Please.
if the payroll is in ADP, I mean, still we need to enable that.
Payroll in
ADP.
what do you mean by ADP?
If the payroll is in ADP,
ADP means what?
and I mean any other third party, if you are using
It is,
yeah, see,
yeah.
one point here. Even if you are running the payroll in the third party application, so to use this legal entity in the system configuration process, still you have to enable. Still you have to enable. Okay. So if you don't enable, what happens is going forward, what we'll do is we'll create the employee user. We'll create the employee user later. Okay. So when you are creating the employee user, we have to select the LE, legal entity we have to select. Let me write. At the time of employee user creation, we have to select legal entity. When you select the legal entity at the time of employee user creation, the employee user function will verify this legal entity, okay, this legal payroll statutory unit checkbox is enabled or not. Sorry. Unit checkbox is enabled or not. Okay, it's enabled. Even it is enabled, the employee user creation process won't allow us to create the employee. Again, this what it will do is this employee user creation function will verify, okay, legal entity, whatever we are selecting, yes, for that payroll statutory unit is enabled. But that has to be linked with specific country payroll. Even if you are not implementing HCM application for your client, if you are going to implement just financials also, what we have to do is we have to create the legal entity by selecting these options, and we have to create, okay, so the payroll related definition, okay, payroll definition in HCM, we'll be doing that before we go and create the employee user. We have to do it, okay. We have to just create that country specific payroll definition. That to that we have to assign our legal entity, then only the legal entity can be used in the employee user, okay. Country specific payroll we have to define even if you are not implementing HCM for your client, okay. We'll get to know only the point as of now. Just you take it as a, when you are creating the legal entity, you should make these two are mandatory. You may not use the HCM, HRMS and payroll within the Fusion application. Still you have to enable this, then only you can use this legal entity as a proper definition in the system, okay. This legal entity need to be associated with those definitions, okay. We'll see that. Fine. Just note that those points will
How
get a
about
clarity once we create the employee user. Yeah, please.
sorry. How about 1099 processing for the vendors? Do we have something for
See,
some kind of setup?
those are separate setups. Here you no need to link with that. That comes under separate functions. Okay. Fine. Just provide that registration related numbering like TIN and ETN. Depending on country, this we have to specify. Okay, so this is how just basically we have to create the legal entity. Just click on save and close. Our legal entity would be ready. Okay, done. It will save this definition. We're done with that. The next task is we have to assign our legal entity to primary ledger. So say you have primary ledger in US. For US one primary ledger you may have 10 registrations. In that case we create 10 legal entities. 10 legal entities we have to assign to our primary ledger, but for our testing we are creating only one legal entity. Now we'll go and assign that legal entity to that primary ledger, okay. So to do that assignment, search for assign legal entity. Search for task called as assign legal entities. The task name is assign legal entities. You don't see the task as assign legal entities to primary ledger. You don't see in that way. Just task name is assign legal entities. Nothing but assign legal entity to primary ledger. Just click on the task. So the task is available under manage primary ledgers only. Already this task we completed, and specify ledger options also we completed. Now assign legal entities we have to complete. Okay, so already our, just let me drag it a little right. So already our primary ledger is selected in the scope. If I click on go to task icon, what system will understand? System will understand as we are trying to assign the legal entity to this primary ledger. It will allow us to assign the legal entity to this primary ledger only. If you want to assign the legal entity to different primary ledger, change the primary ledger name. Say you want to assign the legal entity to Google India primary ledger. In that case, you have to change the scope name. Okay, now anyway, we want to assign our LE to our primary ledger only. So directly you can click on go to task icon. It will allow us to assign to Google USA primary ledger. Just click on go to task icon. See here, system is selecting our primary ledger to assign legal entities. So how to assign the LE to this primary ledger? So very simple, just click on select and add. Here we have a select and add icon, just click on that. So which legal entity we want to assign to this primary ledger? That is Google USA legal entity. Search for LE, select, and click on apply. So in the background you can see system is assigned. If you want to assign one more legal entity, you can assign something, say ABC. We are not getting ABC is there already because one ledger also is there, so that means somebody created, but we are not getting. What is the reason? One legal entity can be assigned to only one primary ledger. Because of that rule, it won't come. Fine. We assigned our legal entity to our primary ledger. Done. Now you can click on save and close. So if you notice, no balance and segment values are assigned to this legal entity from this primary ledger. That we have to complete as a separate setup, right? So within this primary ledger, what are the balancing segment values? Company values we have, those are not assigned to this legal entity. If those are assigned already, so you will be able to see here. Okay. Now anyway, just we assigned LE to PL. That's all. LE to PL, nothing but primary ledger. Primary ledger is PL, legal entity is LE. We assigned LE to PL. Just say save and close. So we completed this task. Now what is the next task? We have to assign balance and segment values to legal entity. What do you mean by balance and segment values? BSVs. Simply you can call as BSV values. BSVs we can call plural. Okay, balance and segment values. To which segment we assign balancing segment label, primary balance and segment label, that segment values are balancing segment values. To which segment we assign primary balancing segment label? Company. Now company values are BSV values. All the companies we have to assign to this legal entity, or else if you have multiple legal entities, under which legal entity you are running which company, the respective companies we have to assign to specific LE. But in current scenario we have only one LE, we have just two companies. We'll go and assign those two companies to same legal entity. That means the two companies we are running under one registration, that is nothing but one legal entity. Okay, we'll go and perform the task. So here is the task: assign balancing segment values to legal entities. The task is assign balancing segment values to legal entities. So we want to assign the balancing segment values to legal entities. The balancing segment values are available in which primary ledger? This primary ledger. Make sure that you have a right primary ledger in selected scope. Now if you click on go to task icon, within this primary ledger under company segment or through company value set, what are the values we have, those only we can assign to the legal entity which is associated with this primary ledger only. Okay, so just click on go to task icon. So system is displaying, this is our USA primary ledger, and this is the value set system is displaying. Why system is displaying this value set? This value set is assigned to company segment. For company segment only we assign label called as primary balancing segment label. So within this value set, what are the company values we have, those you can assign to this legal entity, Google USA legal entity. Fine. How to assign? To assign the companies to legal entity, company is nothing but balance and segment values to legal entity, click on create. It's all about assign. Just click on this create. Now to this legal entity you want to assign those two companies. Just click on LOV. We have company 2000 and 2000. Select. It displays the description. Now say save and assign another. We want to assign another company also to the same legal entity. So you can say save and assign another, or else if you want to assign only one to one legal entity, you can say save and close. Done. Now we have one more company, company 2000. 2000 also if you want to assign to same legal entity, you can select. Otherwise this 2000 if you want to assign to other legal entity, you can click on LOV. Okay, but here for this ledger only one LE is assigned, so one LE only you can see. Fine, that's what we planned. Just two companies we are going to assign to same legal entity. Under this legal entity, and means under this registration only we are running those two companies. That is the meaning. Okay, right. Select 2000. Then now you can say save and close. We don't have any other company values to assign to legal entity. So instead of clicking on save and assign another, just click on save and close. Done. So we assign company 1000 and 2000 to this legal entity. Now you can click on save and close. Done. So we completed this task. Now we almost done with our primary ledger definition and legal entity assignments, BSVs, balance and segment values to legal entity. So this ledger can be used to record the transaction. Before that we have to complete it. In case of EBS, within that definition only on the top you can see complete tab. If you click on tab, just simply system will convert status to completed. But in the fusion, so the moment you complete, okay, the moment you complete, what system will do is this information, okay, this information it will just transfer to Sbase. Now the primary ledger whatever we created, that is available in Oracle database, that will get stored in the Oracle database. Now we have to submit. Now we have to submit our primary ledger, okay, where system will review and do, it will confirm the definition if everything is fine. When you submit our primary ledger for validation purpose, okay, once everything is fine with that, what system will do is the system will within the Oracle database, whatever the primary ledger we have, and you say primary ledger, which components we have as a part of primary ledger? Calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method. So the complete primary ledger definition system will transfer, it will submit to Sbase database. Sbase database. Our ledger, primary ledger will be copied. Once you submit this, system will verify the primary ledger definition is properly done or not. If primary ledger definition is proper, one copy it will submit to Sbase. So in the Sbase, the ledger will be maintained in the multi-dimensional cubes. So whenever you have any transaction, means journal within this primary ledger, that you may create directly in the GL, or it may flow from subledger to GL, whatever it may be the case scenario. Once you have any ledger, once you have a journal into this primary ledger, once you post it, that information will get updated into Sbase database. Okay, the period information and currency information and segments information, okay, all the information in which period and with which currency, how much amount for the specific segments and all, the total journal related information will get updated in the Sbase. This is auto synchronization. Okay, Oracle build auto synchronization manually, we don't need to do it. Once you are ready with the primary ledger, just you have to perform this task, it will submit the process. So with that process, what system will do? Oracle will, I mean this once that program is triggered, once validation is done, the primary ledger definition will be copied from Oracle database to Sbase database. We cannot record the transactions, okay, within the Sbase database. Only will be recording the transactions, and every data will get stored in the Oracle database. but whatever the data will hit to primary ledger as a journals information, remember, just journals information, the journal information would be reported from primary ledger to a space database in these dimensions: period dimension, currency dimension, segment definition. So in Oracle database, data will be maintained in tables, but in Essbase database, data is maintained not in tables, in cubes. Multi-dimensional cubes we call. So in the Oracle database, data will be maintained in tables in relational manner. Means Oracle database is a relational database. But here in Essbase, the cubes are not relational. Just you can play with that the cubes. Those are multi-dimensional. Simply you can drag and drop, and you can just play with that. But still system Essbase has a capability of producing the results accordingly. Okay, this Essbase here, why we are sending the data, why we are sending the primary ledger definition to Essbase? Because in Fusion, as a part of GL, we have a functionality called as FRS. FRS stands for Financial Reporting Studio, and we have a function called as Smart View. These two we use for reporting purpose. So these two functionalities Oracle taken from Hyperion product. So Smart View, sorry, 1 second. Okay, the Smart View and FRS, Finance Reporting Studio, these solutions Oracle taken from Hyperion product. In Hyperion product, by using this Hyperion product, you can just prepare the reports by using these functionalities which are part of Hyperion. So if you want to prepare the reports by using the Smart View or FRS, the Smart View or FRS functionality can generate the reports if data is available in Essbase database only. That means Essbase database is owned by, this is a part of Hyperion product only. So Hyperion product uses database called as Essbase. So since we are using the Hyperion product as a part of Fusion for reporting purpose, what Oracle it is, they just taken Essbase database, on top of it they given these two features. So if you want to prepare any GL related FSG, in EBS we have FSG, right? FSG, financial statement generator. So that they removed from Fusion and they introduced this FRS and Smart View from Hyperion product to whenever, how you can prepare the reports by using FSG. If data is available in the GL, the journals tables, then only you can prepare. The same logic they built. Once you, if data is available in the Oracle database, these Hyperion functions we cannot use to prepare the reports. If you want to use this Hyperion reporting capabilities, the data should be available in the Essbase only, that too in the multi-dimensional cubes, not in the tables. That is the reason Oracle built a solution. So whatever the data is available in the Oracle database against your primary ledger, automatically that goes to Essbase database whenever you post the journals. So when we have a data in the Essbase database, by using the Hyperion reporting, you can prepare the reports through Smart View. Smart View is a spreadsheet. Through spreadsheet you can prepare the reports. FRS, Financial Reporting Studio, all income statement, balance sheet, and etc. Fund flow statements. Any finances, the reports you will be able to create from FRS. So that is the reason the data, the primary ledger definition will get submitted to Essbase. So you created 10 invoices in AP and you created accounting that flows into GL database, GL tables. Once you post that journals, 10 journals, or for 10 against 10 invoices, system may create one journal. Once you post that journal in the GL, that information will be submitted to Essbase database. Against the data, you can prepare the reports if you want to create by using these functionalities. And here in Oracle database, data will be stored in the transactional manner. Here in the Essbase, data will be maintained in the summary manner. So because of that reason, here the very faster reporting is possible in Hyperion compared to any other reporting tools. The reason data is maintained in the multi-dimensional cubes model. Okay, so these are the points we have to understand. So when we are working on that reporting, the preparation of Smart View or FRS, once again we'll talk on this. But in this stage, to understand these few points, what we are trying to understand. Any questions, please?
Is SQL is a code for the Hyperion?
Not SQL. So we don't use over there SQL code and all. It's all about. The SQL in the sense like here we don't use that SQL. Here dimensions concept will be there where you can go on to prepare the dimensions. That basically comes under HFM, Hyperion Financial Management. With that solution, you can prepare that multi-dimensional cubes and all. Okay, so you have a that space related solution like how you want to design. See, for example, if you want to create one table and if you want to query the data and all, here we'll write the SQL queries. But in case of Hyperion, the solution, how many dimensions you require and all, you will be designing the solution by using HFM, Hyperion Financial Management. This would be the solution. Here based on that, this automatically cubes will be created in the space. That's how it works. Not you are not going to write some queries, etc., same as our EBS. Any questions here, please? Just the simple point here we have to understand, once you submit our primary ledger for completion, okay, what are the primary ledger we created in Oracle database, that would get submitted to Space, and it will create the periods, currency, segments, everything as a dimensions. Okay, cubes in the space. Why Oracle is create? Why this process is going to create all this? So the data which we are going to maintain in the GL as a part of journals information, that should sync with a space, because these are the features which we have, reporting related features which we are going to use from Hyperion product. If you want to use these features, data should be available in a space database, not in Oracle database. That is the reason this process is automated. The moment you just submit this task in the application, so this would get automated. Automatic data will be submitted to space. Whenever you have any transaction, I mean to say journals in GL, the moment you post, that information will sync with space, and that would be available for this reporting. So this is the point we have to understand. Once you trigger this process, system will be running the relevant jobs also. That also we are going to see now. Any questions from anyone, please?
I have one question on legal entity. So just for confirmation, I want to know. So if one company has, let's say, 3 of their subsidiaries in US, so they can only have one legal entity, right? Because one country, because they are residing in one country.
Very simple. You said like client business in US and they have 3 subsidiaries. My question is, for each subsidiary, do they have separate registration or they are running with one registration? That decides. For each subsidiary, if they have a separate registration, 3 legal entities. To run the 3 subsidiaries in the same country, if they can go with the one registration also. If that is a true, only one legal entity. Okay, the registrations will decide number of legal entities. That's all. The same EBS concept only. Same EBS. It's a business point of view. Number of registration will lead to number of legal entities in the system. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
In EBS, we can
Yeah, 1 second,
assign
please.
multiple legal entities.
No, 1 second, please. Yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Hey, Lakshman, this is V, right?
Yes.
That is why I'm.
Yeah, please go ahead with your question, please.
In
Yeah,
EBS,
my
we can
question.
assign multiple legal entities to the primary ledger.
My name is displaying there or not?
See, your voice is not clear. It's very low. It's not audible. If possible, just check your audio connectivity. That will help to have a discussion. Fine. Yeah. Any questions from anyone, please?
Yeah. What is the social insurance during that legal entry process we saw that, right?
See,
Explain,
see, that is depending on country. In US, you have that social insurance where you have to pay the insurance and all. That depends on country. At the time of legal entity, we just selected US, right? So wherever, by default, that is a responsibility of legal entity. That is the reason just they're addressing. Okay. The social insurance
and
is very much.
Hey, Lakshman.
Yeah.
So actually, you were saying that there will be no small business like that when I asked the question. But why do you think they kept that checkbox? What is the reason while creating a legal entity that they need to check box that it's an employer? You're saying it will never happen.
Yes. So basically, they frankly, as you raise the point, reality is that they should not give the checkbox. They should make it as mandatory. They should hard code it to get enabled for everything. But to reclassify that the actual real legal entities and some dummy legal entity definition as per their internal process, which may require, so they might have given. That's what we can guess. We are not very sure why they.
But actually, it will be dummy legal entity that will be creating in the actual scenario.
No. In all the scenarios that won't support. Okay, all the scenarios that won't support. So there could be, the business may have some internal requirement of just defining the legal entity where they'll have a just value of information for reporting or other purposes. So when they should not do with the real legal entity, they may use it. They may use it. We're not very sure like why Oracle check boxes over there. Reality that's how it's so. Fine. You may just
there were
help. You can explore more and more on that. Still, if you are just try to understand more on that. But the actual point is that which you have to understand. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, there were two checkboxes there. One for the tax reporting, and the next one, if the legal entity is employer based or not. So, could there be a situation where the top checkbox is not checked and the second checkbox is checked?
Yeah, top checkbox you are not checking, in the sense that means you are not running the payroll. Okay, so if you are not running the payroll, you no need to map that legal entity with the payroll. When you are not running the payroll, that legal entity you cannot select at the time of employee creation. That means employee also you cannot create. Ideally, those two checkboxes you have to select.
Okay, that should have been really one checkbox, but they made it into two.
No, two. Okay, the two you have to make as a mandatory. There only that that employee can be defined in the system, and the payrolls can be processed. As we are discussing about only those points, basically they should make those two as a mandatory, but they just given as a optional. Still, we have to understand to enable as a mandatory. Okay, fine. So just you may hit on that help. You can open that legal entity definition page. You can click on help. You have seen how you can get more information on that. That's how you can go through it. You can get more inputs on what you are trying to explore. You can do it. But the point here what we have to understand is, at the time of legal integration, you should make those two as mandatory. Otherwise, you cannot use that legal entity in the employee creation process and rest of process. That's all. Fine. Any other questions here, please?
Question.
Yeah.
Do legal entities are mutually exclusive with the primary ledger?
Yeah, those would be specific to primary ledgers only. You can assign, if you say you created a one legal entity, that you can assign to only one primary ledger. The same cannot be assigned to another primary ledger. It's specific to primary ledgers. Again, within the primary ledgers, those will be those two are within the one primary ledger. You can have multiple legal entities also. So you are running the business in US, you may have 4 registrations. So primary ledger you can have only one. You may have one primary ledger and you can have 4 legal entities within that. Say you have a I'll say 8 branches where you are running the business. Each branch you may treat as a separate operation. So in that case, you will be creating 8 balancing segment values. So for under each registration, you may have a two branches which you are running, two maybe different businesses or same business, different branches. However, you are going to have in your business. Accordingly, you can map those balance and segment values with respective legal entities.
Where do we map the segment values with the legal entities? Where the adding set up?
Already we mapped, right? So in this step, we did that. We assigned balance and segment values to legal entity. We have two balance and segment values, two we assigned to our legal entity, right? In the previous setup.
Understood.
Yeah, the same point. If you have multiple legal entities, also same process. So you select legal entity first, then assign specific balance segment values to the respective LE. Fine, done.
So, yeah, I've seen situations where they move the legal entity from one ledger to the other, mostly because one company bought the other, say, stores or that legal entity. So, in such cases, we'll have to disable the value in the first legal entity, that ledger, and then move.
Yeah, I got your point. Yes. See, that's all about how to manage with workaround. How to manage as per product. There's no functionality which will allow you to move from one to other. The reality business is going to happen in that way. After some time, just they are going to do in that way. Just it's all about, yes, you have to just set a end date for that, and you have to stop entering the transaction with associated balance and segment values. What we have, those also will be stopping, and the balance and segment values are mapped with which entity, say business units or operating units, those will stop using, and then the same definitions will be doing in the other ledger and other environment or other multi-org structure or enterprise structure, depending on version which you are using. That's how you can manage. That completely comes under workaround. So where you can decide how to go about it. You will be definitely stopping here, then you will be disabling, or say will be undating, depending on which definitions are you are going to deal. So that's how you can manage that situation. Okay, as a standard product, we don't have any functionality which will allow you to transfer from one to other. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't understand that question. Can you explain the question that he asked?
You may ignore it, that question, since that is his question. Like, let it be. Please don't mind. Okay, any questions from others, please? So if you have any question, please ask me. We'll discuss definitely anyone. Okay. So any questions from anyone?
In case so we assign balancing segment values, which is company to legal entity. So in case the company get merged, or then how does that happen? How do we handle that in future then?
See, so if you have that scenario, say like in that case, companies are merged, in the sense you will be having the different companies, right? Different companies. So in that case, you can just make a plan of like you have a 2-3 balance and segment values. Those may be different. In that case, you will be going with the solution of, from there you will be creating, so one as a separate balance and segment value you will be creating by merging all those different companies. And from the time onwards, like the 2 or 3 companies which you merge, all the relevant transaction will be entering with the one balance and segment value only. That will be deciding what level the merge is going to happen. It's going to be multiple LE related businesses is going to become 1 or 2. In that case, we'll go with the LE's level merge. Accordingly, we'll manage the transaction. If it is going to happen at a company's level, which you mapped into the system as a balance and segment values, then in that case, we'll decide you want to go with the separate operating unit. If it is in EBS, in Fusion, separate BU, and then all the transactions which you have, those will be getting adjusted with that BU by taking that transaction balances, or you may create separate business unit or operating unit. That totally depends how you want to bring the solution into system. Depending on what level merge is going to happen, you should have a discussion with the business, and they have to finalize. We'll be suggesting which is the best option and all. That's it. Okay. If you just when you start taking those scenarios, it just goes like that.
One more question.
Yep.
So, do we have only one ledger? Can we create multiple ledgers so
Multiple
that
ledger.
the
Multiple ledger.
actual?
Ideally, for one business in one country, one ledger would be enough. In one country also, you can have a multiple ledgers. If you are running, say you are running the different vertical of businesses. Say you are running 4 vertical of businesses in US. So in that case, if you can have a common chart of accounts for 4 businesses, the 4 businesses, the chart of accounts requirement is remain same. The segments what you will be using across more or less similar. In that case, you can have a single chart of accounts. So in that case, you can create one primary ledger, that would be enough. Each business demands different chart of account structure. Because of chart of accounts requirement is different, you have to go with the different primary ledgers. When chart of account requirement is different, you have to go with that. So since country is same, currency point of view no issues, calendar also will remain same. Only the difference is chart of accounts. That may differentiate the number of primary ledgers you require within one country also. Okay, see, if you want to understand these points, if these are your questions, I'll do one thing. I'll be sharing the few videos which we run the classes on EBS release 12. You can understand. I'll just make a note your name and I'll be sharing those videos, because those may be just the basic understanding about multi-org structure. I'll be sharing some relevant videos. You can go through it, since that part is not part of the sessions. Okay, still if you are interested, we can discuss in the end of the session these kind of points. Okay, so any questions here to understand this point, please? Otherwise, if you have some different questions, that will take in the end of the session. Okay, so if you have any question to understand this point, please. Otherwise, if any other questions, definitely we'll discuss in the end of the session. Any questions here, please?
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, we started the business with one legal entity and we are running the business. After some time, we added a new legal entity. So we can, at that point, we can assign that new legal entity into the existing ledger, right?
Yes, anytime.
Okay. Yeah.
You'll just you started on, you just have some new registration, means yes, you'll create one legal entity that falls into which ledger, like you'll be creating in that, you'll be assigning to that. And again, you should create some balance and segment values also. When you have a new registration, we'll be doing some operations to record that operational related transaction. Will create one balance and segment values. Those you may map with your separate operating units or business unit depending on version. Accordingly, we'll create those and you'll do the required setups. That's how it goes.
Okay, so anytime we can assign with the new
that
values.
happens.
Okay,
that happens in the business.
Okay, yeah, correct.
Expanding, right? So those required. Yes, that is just pretty simple process which you can do. Anytime you can add new business units, you can add new primary ledgers, you can add new balance and segment values, you can add new legal entities, and you can do all these mappings. Fine. Any questions here, please? Okay, just we'll go and complete this task. After that, any other questions from anyone, definitely we'll just take it forward. Okay, so we'll go on to complete this task so that we can see that our ledger status has completed, and system will be running the process which will move this primary ledger definition from Oracle database to Essbase database. We'll go and see that. So for that, we have a task, okay, called as review and submit accounting configuration. Okay, review and submit accounting configuration. They place this task under secondary ledger. Reality, this task is not at all related to secondary ledger, but in the sequence of list they given under secondary ledger. We don't need to worry about it. It's all about what we have to understand. After completing these setups, we have to submit this review and accounting configuration, which will trigger the process. Just click on, you are going to submit which primary ledger. Make sure that that ledger only you have in the scope. Okay, so it won't run for all the ledgers. Which ledger is selected here as a selected scope, it will take that ledger as a parameter. Just click on go to task icon and click on submit. Okay, so already we verified, after creating our primary ledger, we verified the status in process, right? So now you can go to ESS job page, enterprise scheduler service. How you can go to that ESS job page? through scheduled process. ESS job is equal to EBS SRS window. You can keep hitting on this refresh. See what it is doing. So just we submitted review and submit accounting configuration task, that is triggering these jobs. Here programs we call as jobs. So it's triggering complete accounting configuration, that is calling other jobs. What are those? Complete accounting configuration. Load chart of account values. What does it mean by load chart of account values? System will be loading the chart of accounts from our Oracle database to Essbase database. And based on that, it is creating the cubes, balance cubes, to hold the balances, company related balances, department level, account level, currency level, and period level balances. Everything will be maintained in the space as a cubes, which will be holding the balances. Already we discussed the point. So everything we maintain in Essbase, okay, as a balances. Here transactional data, in Essbase balances data in cubes. So for that, it is running the relevant jobs. So anytime you submit that without any issue, this will get completed, because this is very standardized processes and very much a stabilized process. So this will complete normal. Once these complete normal, you can go and verify your ledger status. You could see as confirmed, means completed. Ledger status will turn into completed. Just keep hitting on this refresh icon. It will complete as soon as possible, so that we can go and verify our ledger status. So I'm just opening the same instance in other tab, so that we can get ready with that setup to verify. So we'll verify this. Succeeded. Status is succeeded. Now you can go and verify the status of our primary ledger definition. So go to overview, open the project. Okay, here we have that task called as manage primary ledgers, right? So otherwise you can search for that, or here we have, scroll till down, here we have manage primary ledgers, or you can search and find. Click on go to task icon. Find our primary ledger, search for it. Okay, here our ledger name is Google. Search. What is the status of our ledger? Confirmed, nothing but completed. It happens only if our primary ledger definition is proper, then only system will submit our ledger definition to Essbase. After happening this activity, system will update status as a confirmed. Okay, so now this ledger is ready to use to record the transactions in any application based on your setups. So that's all about today's session. We're done with the session. You may drop from the meeting. Okay, if you have any questions related to current session, what we discussed, or course related, or any concepts, any points you want to understand based on our discussions you are not aware of, or any clarification required, we can proceed with that. Any questions from any sort of questions, please? Any questions from anyone, please?
So, question: once the chart of accounts are submitted, I mean, can be changed later? Is it? Do we have any issues?
Yeah, we are not submitting the chart of accounts. We are submitting entire primary ledger. That means our calendar, currency, chart of accounts, accounting method, which we selected at the time of primary ledger, everything we are submitting. So 100% this process ends without any error. Okay, it's very much stabilized, but you will come across the issue if you have something wrong with your accounting calendar and your chart of accounts. As I mentioned, if you just define your chart of account with some special characters, okay, it end with a error and all. Okay, when you submit this, this process may end with error. So that kind of scenarios you may come across. Otherwise, there won't be an issue. when your system try to submit this information from Oracle database to Essbase, Essbase won't accept some special character related naming convention. That's how it will end with error. When you see that status as error here, if you go to the schedule process, you could see that status as error. In that case, you can just select which job is ending with error or warning. You can select it. Below it will display the log file. Okay. So here log and output files it will generate. Now it ended with the succeeded status, so there is no files. Otherwise it will create the log files. You can click and open. It gives you the information why it is ending with a error or warning. You can go and correct and resubmit the same. That's all.
Lakshman, I have a question. Actually, in Oracle EBS, we can view our ledgers in database through a small query, like select star from table and you get all the ledgers.
Yes.
Is there any process of
seeing
our ledgers in Essbase?
In cloud we are like same as EBS. In case of EBS, the EBS database you can just connect with a Toad or some other tool and you can query the data from those third party or other Oracle tools. But in the Fusion, we don't have that provision where you can connect to Oracle database and to query the data, but they given the provision within the application through BI. Okay, through BI business intelligence reporting tool. Okay, we have a BI catalog. In the BI catalog, as a part of report creation, you can query the data. Even if you have even you don't have requirement of report creation. If you want to query and see some data, only the option is you have to go to BI catalog. From there, you can write a query and you can fetch. That point we are going to cover in our classes also. Okay, that would be very basic need when we are working application. We'll be covering that point. Yeah, please.
My thing is it possible to view in Essbase? It moves to Essbase. You said no.
Essbase, no.
It's automatically synchronized to Essbase.
No. There is no need of just verifying the data in the Essbase in any aspect. Only just however you have data that will sync with the Essbase. For that you need some administrator privileges where Oracle has to allow you. If you have a your on-premise instance, that you can connect and you can see that. But ideally, in this environments you cannot connect and you cannot see.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. However, you have your data in Oracle database, especially in the GL tables, journals tables. As it is, it will sync. If you have some issue with that, normally we contact Oracle by raising SR. They'll help you on that. They'll fix that. Some synchronization. Sometimes if you come across any synchronization issues, what are the data you have in Oracle database, GL related tables that is not syncing with Essbase when you prepare the reports, they'll be helping on that. Okay, we cannot. Fine. Any other questions from anyone, please?
Question.
Yeah, please.
I think last time you answered this, but I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
So, in case of creating a chart of accounts, if we create mistakenly consultant created 10 charts, 10 accounts, 10 what do you call it? segments. Let's say they created the transaction.
Let me stop.
Later after 1 year, I got to know.
1 second.
Sorry.
Let me stop here. See, chart of account is not a such kind of job. Just somebody can go and create by mistake. See, chart of account will decide whether your implementation is going to be successful or it is going to fail. So that kind of decision making we do with the chart of accounts. That is the reason we should not expect that scenario. Somebody sitting in some corner as accountant and will be just creating. Okay, this is a very, very important aspect at the time of implementation. That is the reason we should not expect that's how it happens. So it's all about decision making. Like we'll just propose some chart of accounts. We'll have several rounds of meeting with the client finance account team and other key members. Who can take the decision making, how they need internal external reporting, how they can just expect the future growth of the business, how many buffer segments required. So after several rounds of discussion, the chart of account will decide it. it's not like just we create how we create in the system for our practice. That is the reason we should not go with that such kind of example. Say you just take simple example with all validations and proper decision making, you made 8 segments, you need one more segment in the future. So if you have 8, definitely you will be having 1 or 2 as a future segments. You can just utilize the buffer segment as per your requirement. Say you have a 6 segments as a actual required segments, 2 buffer segments. In the ongoing process, within 5 to 10 years, you utilize those 2 segments also. Total now 8 segments used. Now you need 1 more segment. In the market, many solutions are there. Many consulting companies build some tools which will help you to go with upgrading your chart of accounts from the current structure to adding new segments without disturbing the existing transactional data and all. That's how we have solutions. But reality, we should not go and add the segments within the chart of accounts. It will create many issues. Still, if you have any question, please.
So would Oracle help us if we need to create additional segments, let's say after 10-20 years? Company decide that they need if after 10 years or so company decide they need additional segment, so how can we create additional segment? Who can help us? Can Oracle help us to make sure we take care of everything?
I got a question. See, after 10 years already you have some, say for example 10 segments, still you are just planning to extend. First of all, your chart of account practice may not be good. Still, if you are increasing, that's the best thing is you may go with a re-implementation rather than increasing still n number of segments, as a number of segments are too much. So you can just say they used for 10 years. So still if they want to increase the number of segments, the best thing they may redesign their organization structure in terms of maintaining their books of accounts by tracking the information in the system. Still they want to go they want to add 1 more or 2 more segments. In that case, the consultants can help. If they have internal team, they can do it. They may use some relevant tools. With the help of the tools they can do it. Otherwise, along with the chart of accounts number of segments requirement where they have to increase, there could be some changes which happened in the entire enterprise level, organization related and business expansion, or restructuring the business in terms of system process. If those all requirements are there, then normally the re-implementation takes place. So that's how it happens. So only segments means, yes, we have different tools in the market from consulting companies. So with the tool who are doing that kind of redesigning the chart of accounts kind of consulting services for the clients, they can go and take the service from them. If they have internal team who are expertise to do this kind of activities, they'll be doing this. Okay.
Lakshman, adding to that, the secondary ledger and the consolidation will not help us to adding multiple segments going forward.
See, whatever the transactions, the data, the accounting transaction you are entering in the primary ledger, that you can represent to another ledger with a different representation. So you have 5 segments in your primary ledger and you need 2 more. If you create a segment chart of accounts into your secondary ledger or any other ledger with the 7 segments, first of all, the core transaction you are entering in the file, how you can represent 6 and 7 segments data in the other. Whatever you have in your primary, that you can report to other ledgers with some additional representation. Maybe currency is different, some chart of accounts are different. Okay, this is how you can represent. You cannot manage the requirement of increasing the segments with other than primary ledger. Only primary ledger related chart of account only can just fulfill your requirement of increasing the segments, not other segments, other ledgers related chart of accounts. In case of reporting, the primary ledger chart of account only you have to use as it is. When you talk about secondary, you may have different chart of accounts, but your business has a different number of segments that you cannot fulfill with the secondary ledger. Secondary ledger we don't use to record the transaction, just to report from primary to secondary based on the business need, the number of segments or etc., other conversions, I mean to say accounting method related representation. That's all. Those we cannot use to replace.
Yeah, secondary ledger is only if we are using a different accounting method, not because when we have different chart of account or currency or anything like that, right?
You can use chart of account purpose also. Say you have a 7 segments in your primary, some internal reporting or some other reporting purpose. Just the requirement is they need only 2 segments of data reporting. In that case, you can use secondary ledger for that purpose also. You can use it. That provision we have. Okay. Any other questions, please? Fine. Seems to no questions. If any questions, please let me know, or else we can find out.
In 11 we have a 3 Cs and EBS we have 4 Cs. In Fusion we have anything? Is there any change in that, or we are going with the 4 Cs?
Same continued. Okay. In EBS 11i we have 3 Cs. Reality we have 4 Cs in 11i also. But as a part of setup books, we choose calendar, currency, chart of account. The accounting method also we have in 11i also, but we select at the level of subledgers. But in release 12, what they did, the selection of subledger accounting method also they made as a part of primary ledger. That's how we are calling as 4 Cs. 11i also we have 4 Cs, but SOB setup books creation we choose 3, and in subledgers we'll select 4th one. So however we do in EBS release 12, the same we are following in Fusion. The same just now we did. In today's session only we created primary ledger. The primary ledger we selected 4 Cs only. Okay, no difference, no change with respect to those Cs. Any other questions, please?
I'm not getting the videos for this week in email, so I messaged the team.
So what we do is we don't send separate email for each and every session video. What are the Google Drive access we shared, we'll be placing in that Google Drive. You can go to the same drive and you can find all the videos till last session. Today's session I'll be uploading after 1 hour. Okay.
Okay. I will check the link then. I'm sure if I have.
Still, if you have any issue, please let us
know. When coming to value set values, there is an option called number fill. So we cannot go back and make any changes once we created that.
You can go and do it. But in these environments, even if you enable that, number fill is nothing but write justify 0 fill numbers as per EBS. That function is not working in this environment. Just they given as an option. I think the functionality they didn't build behind it. Okay, you just try enable, it won't work. Okay. Yeah. So any other questions, please? Fine, no questions. We can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow and we'll continue from here. So thank you all. Have a good day and good night. And when you are working on instance, if you have any issues, please write an email on this, send a mail on this erpitri.com@gmail.com. Okay. If you have issue with instance, or when you are practicing with your practice, if you have some instance issue, or if you have issue with the videos, Google Drive access, write a mail on this. Other than this, if any other queries and all, you can contact the team on the respective mail IDs, whatever you are in the touch with them, contact numbers, whatever you have. Okay, that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Bye for today.